this is not something like a 100% correct answer, but if you have trouble not knowing what to do, then you can refer to it. And you can change some of them that you disagree. So setting, video, I put everything at max because I want to play with the highest quality that my GPU can reach out. But at the same time, there are something that doesn't help. Rather, it just decreases FPS. And those are these 4 stuff at the bottom of the video tab. And also this indirect shadow, I'm not using it. Next one is here, the third one, accessibility. If you scroll down, there's this checkbox button called photosensitive Caesar protection. All right, this one, there are people who doesn't do this and there are people who does. I personally do because, I don't like it to be this bright. That's why. I like a little bit darker like this. All right, next one, gameplay tab, combat relating setting. Safe checkbox is the new feature that came in recently, the cumulative damage. So there are a lot of skills in Lost Ark that does a lot of hit, right? So you don't know how much it's actually doing. If you check this, then you can see overall damage on that skill because it accumulates and shows you. And this one right here, the fourth one, this one is abbreviation, shortening the way how the damage shows. Normally it shows in full digit, 7 digit, 8 digit, 9 digit. But if you have this on, then it shows as 10 billion, like BIL, like something like that, 10 bill. So if you want that, then you go for it. I personally don't like that. I want the damage to be shown as a complete number. So I don't have that checked. And if you scroll down, this part is the pet buff. Right now I have my pet on, but it doesn't show above my HP, right? That's because I have this off. Because pet buff is something that's going to be on as a default. There's no reason for me to see that. To me, that's how I think. So I have this off. Second tab, control. The second checkbox is a smart key, instant skill cast. For example, some of the skill shows range if you click it, and then you have to click again to actually cast, right? This option ignores that. If you click the key for the first time, the skill goes right away without showing the range. Does that make sense? By the way, I use this on every character. If you are a person who want the range to be shown and want to think for the second time before casting, then you want this to be off. But pretty much a lot of people that I know have this on, since it actually shortens the rotation as well. And this one is something that a lot of people wanted to be checked. This checkbox means skip dungeon cutscene. If you go into a raid and if someone is not skipping, showing 7/8, then it's that guy who doesn't have this checked. Spam OM. All right, third one, display setting. This one, the first one, combo box, is it shows your ping on the left bottom. If you see here, my ping, you see this, is 0 ms. That's because I live close to Smilegate, where the server is, spam OM, 30 minutes from the subway. If you scroll down, then this part, effect display. You want to change this first combo box into party beneficial effect only. This means that it will not show the skill effect of any other party mate unless it's something that gives you buff. So you will be able to see heal and the attack buff like Sonic Vibrator, Heavenly Tune, kind of those, effect, but others, it disables it. And this actually makes you play, better. There are very few amount of people that I know who actually have this everything on. But for me, when I get a summoner or sorceress into the party and have this on, then it's a, disaster to me. So yeah, this part, you see this drag bar? The upper one is opacity of your skill. The second one is the opacity of your party mate's skill. I have both lowered down to around 30%-ish to watch the patterns more clear. Other than that, this part is a pet. Do you want to see your pet or do you not want to see your pet in the game? And I have everything off. And this one, the last part, is a UI size. I have it at the lowest for the HUD. So if you change this part, then check out this auto UI. You see that? It changes like that. Everything, all the UI. Now this is too big, right? You would have it at 100 normally, but even this is very big to me. So I have it at 80%. And now this looks way better for me. Buff size. So you know those rectangle buff that comes in above the HP? This one I have it at 100. And this one is the max amount of the buff that to be shown. I have it at default 14. And this one, you mostly want this to be checked. It's also a new feature that came out. Do you know that, like, you know, some supporters attack buff, like Heavenly Tune, they give you AS, the attack speed, and attack power buff, and the mana regen buff, right? So all three of them shows separately. But if you have this checked, then they all get gathered as one buff. If you hover your pointer to that one buff, then it split shows. So it's a very good feature that, you know, streamlines the amount of the buff that you have. You pretty much want this to be on. Community. Oh yeah, I have the font at 17 point, which is larger than usual. Not because I'm old, guys, but you see this chat? This is 17 font. And if I lower it to like this, like 13, I think 13 is the default, right? Then it's too small for me. So I have it at 17. Lastly, Auto-dismantle. So first one is the gear. This part, it doesn't matter. The gear is not important as a loot, right? You don't even get like much gear in this game unless like Kenoa Fortress, right? By the way, I have everything on top as like, you know, the second combo box, like this one. Drop and the content clear. Accessory, I have this ancient below. So it's dismantling everything from relic to the blue. Tier 4 and below. And item quality not using, but I extended all this bar into the max like this. By the way, the way how the dismantle work is that it's written here on the top. It's an or, like, you know, the logic or, not and. If the looted item satisfies any of these conditions, any of them, then it gets dismantled. So keep that in mind, and I'm running it like this. By doing this, it's gonna dismantle all the relic, and relic accessory is so cheap in Korea, like 1 gold, I don't need that. But I do need the ancient, you know, 70 quality, like, or 67 and above, right? And that gets filtered from this, by doing this. Alright, third one is stone. Alright, some people are saying that you want this at relic because you can still upgrade after trying to cut it, right? For me, I personally, you know, don't do that. And it's worth like 1 gold on the auction house for the relic. So I put it at ancient. But for people who want to give it a try for all those relic stones as well, since, you know, it only costs silver to upgrade, you can put this at relic then. And this part, I put it at if the stone contains less than 2. And for this to be on effect, if you click Alt-I, then it shows this engraving. And you see this left bottom part, it's the bookmark. It affects the auto-dismantle setting. So what you want to bookmark is something like Cursed Raid Captain, Grudge, Drop of Ether, Keen Blunt, Ambushmaster, Magic Stream, Awakening, Adrenaline, kind of like, you know, expensive stuff. And because the setting is that dismantle if it's below 2 bookmarked engraving, it will dismantle any stone that have a 1 or less, which is good, right? I want stones to sit in the inventory that contains both of either of these bookmark engraving, right? If it only contains 1, it's garbage. Amulet, you don't need this, right? So put everything at the max like this. And I do have these two checked. These two gets affected from, if you click K and here, the setting right here. And here, you can bookmark the tripod of the skills that you need. So for example, you can bookmark like clicking this mark like that on all the skills you need. And there's another setting button here. You click it and it shows this UI. So what this do is that it filters out the tripod upon the level. I normally put this at level 5 and above, which means it's gonna auto dismantle everything at 4 and below. You need tripod at 5, that's why, right? And I uncheck this part. By unchecking this, what it's gonna do is that it will dismantle the ones that you already learned, even though it's level 5. Because you don't need it if you already learned that, it's permanent, right? Unless you're trying to sell that amulet. But amulet in Korea is super cheap, not worth it to sell. So yeah, level 5 and above, and uncheck, save. And that will affect this setting. Bracelet, you don't want to dismantle relic. If you get even like 3-liner relic that has 2 correct combat stat, that's pretty expensive. So you want this as relic below. tier 4 below because you don't need tier 3. And this part, I put it as 3 and below. So it means it will dismantle anything that has less than 3 lines. The relic bracelet can have like, 2 or 3 or 4, right? The ones that are expensive is the 3 or 4 liners with the correct 2 combat stat. The 2 liners, even if it have the combat stat, it is like 1 gold, bro. So you don't want to keep that. And you're not gonna use that as well. It's very bad. So that's why I have this at 3 and below. So the 2 liners automatically get dismantled. Engraving, yeah, second, and check. And the legendary below because you don't want to dismantle the legendary. Some are still expensive. This part, I don't care. And lastly, the life skill tool, legendary below, I guess. If this video helped you out, then Twitch Prime and subscribe YouTube. Hit the like. Stay eager, chat. Spam 07. Peace out.